So apparently a man in Holland in the EU was fired for being overemployed and working two jobs at the same time until his coworker ratted him out. Now, being overemployed is something that's becoming more and more popular, at least in the United States. If you don't know what that is, it's where you work two full-time jobs at the same time, which could be, I don't know, how flexible are your morals? How do you feel about that? Some people are pro overemployed. Some people are anti-overemployed. They're like, oh, you can't, that's cheating the company, blah, blah, blah. But in my opinion, if you're getting the work done and all the companies are happy with the work you're doing and you're not breaking any contracts, you're not breaking any NDAs, then I personally think there's no problem with working as many jobs as you want. Now, this was in Holland, so things are a little different, and that's kind of what I want to talk about. So the man worked for a South Holland insurance company until the end of last year, and then in November, he started working for an IT company. In February, his new employer learned through a tip from his colleague that the man had never terminated his old employment, and the man maintained two full-time jobs and thus also earned two salaries. Because the man worked a lot from home due to Corona, this initially went unnoticed by his employers. After the tip, the automation company confronted the man, who then acknowledged that he was also employed by his previous employer. In my opinion, again, I don't see anything wrong with this. If you're not breaking any contracts, you're not breaking any laws, whatever. You should be able to do as much work as you want. You should be able to hustle as much as you want. The employee did state that he actually worked the number of hours for which both employers paid him. He would have worked in the evenings and weekends, which is possible. In this way, the man said he wanted to pay off a debt of 20,000 euros from a divorce. Upon discovery, the employee was fired from both jobs and with them his incomes. Because he has himself to blame for the dismissals, he cannot claim unemployment benefits either. To make matters worse, the automation company, the IT company, took him to court with a series of claims for damages totaling 120,000 euros. And the judge says he was acting completely unacceptable. I like to think about it like this. As an employee, you're kind of like a mercenary. You don't really have friends. You don't really have enemies. You just have interests. That's how you have to think of these companies that you work for. They're not good or bad. They're just, you're just using them for what you need to make it through your life and so on and so forth, just like the company is using you to make profit and grow their brand and blah, blah, blah. So in my opinion, working two jobs and the companies don't know about it doesn't matter as long as everything's getting done. So in Holland, 80 hours of work is undesirable, and they have this thing called the Working Hours Act, and I Googled it. Now, I'm not from the EU, so you can tell me if I'm wrong, but what I've found is that it says after a work day, an employee must have 11 consecutive hours of non-work time. So this would make it pretty much impossible, according to this law in Holland, for you to be able to work two full-time jobs. Back-to-back 8-hour jobs are not possible because you have to have 11 hours of non-work time. So in my opinion, this is dumb. You should be able to work as much as you want. Now, I understand why this exists, probably to protect employees from being overworked. I could certainly see that too. However, in this case, I think it's a really dumb law, and you should be able to work two jobs if that's what you want to do. According to the court, it cannot be verified that he has actually worked all the paid hours. I mean, I don't think any court is going to really be able to verify anyone is working all the paid hours at any remote job. So this is silly. You got to look at the output. You got to look at the tasks at the end. It's not about hours. Hours are not productivity. I don't know how many times I have to say that. It's just not how it works. In addition, it is in any case undesirable that an employee works a total of 80 hours a week for two employers. The risk of failure due to overload is very high. So this is what the court said. Two jobs, 80 hours a week. Now, I get it. Yeah, sure. I mean, most people probably don't want to do that. But if someone does want to do that, if they do want to work two full-time jobs, and they can manage to do it and get the work done, then go ahead and let them do it. Like I said earlier, the only thing that this man really did that was wrong and illegal was that he violated the prohibition of ancillary activities in his employment contract. So he clearly had some sort of bullet point in his company contract that said you are not allowed to work for other companies or do anything on the side or have two jobs at once. And if that's in your contract and you sign that and then you still go get another job and then you get in trouble, hey, that's on you. But if you have a contract that doesn't say you can't work for someone else, then, that's a kind of gray area that a lot of companies like to play in. Moonlighting is not typically talked about a lot. It's just don't ask, don't tell type of basis, at least in the United States. That's how it works. I'll show you an example from one of the contracts that I had for my job where they kind of left it open-ended. You kind of have to interpret that yourself and just don't do anything dumb. This is the little snippet from my contract. It says, during the period of your employment, you will be required to devote your full professional attention, time, and energy to this position and to the business and affairs of the business. We will also expect you to use your best efforts to promote the interests and reputation. You will be employed as an at-will employee, blah, 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 meaning they can fire me and I can quit at any time. But as you can see in the contract, this doesn't forbid me from working at any other company. Now, it would be wise to probably not go work for the competition, right? That's probably something you don't want to do, and chances are it probably says that somewhere in most contracts. You can't work for competition. Even if it doesn't say that, it's probably not a smart move, because if they find out, and that's probably just a whole bunch of legal trouble. If you have 2 full-time jobs and you can manage to swing them, but the contract says you're not allowed to do that, hey, well, then that's on you when you get in trouble. In my opinion, this guy deserves what he got. He broke the contract, clearly, but I still think that you should be able to work 2 full-time jobs if you can swing it. I don't see a reason that you should only be able to have 1 job, because the CEOs of most companies have their fingers in a bunch of other companies. They're always managing this one or this one and this one, but you, as the employee, you can only have 1 job. You're only loyal to us. The executives have like a whole group of companies that they're actively managing, while also being the full-time CEO of the company that you work for. I look at it as kind of a stupid corporate double standard, and you should be able to work as much as you want. And then finally, the judge says, the man seriously violated the confidence that an employer can and should have that an employee who works from home actually performs his duties. So this just sounds like boomer speak to me. He was at home and he was working a 2nd job. Who cares if everything that you asked for got done on time? Who cares? This just seems like propaganda to get people to not work at home, because they're, trying to use this as an example to be like, look what they could do. They could be double dipping and working somewhere else. Who cares? The CEO at the company right now is probably working at 5 different companies, like investing in different places and doing this and that, but you can't as the worker. So miss me with all that nonsense. But this guy definitely, broke the contract, and that's on him. It's always a little bit of a risk. Don't do anything dumb like this guy and just deliberately break a contract. Like, this guy definitely deserved what he got. I just think it's stupid. And the coworker, by the way, the coworker that ratted this person out definitely deserves. Being overemployed, by the way, gives you leverage. It's something that you rarely have as an employee. If the company threatens your job or your livelihood, it doesn't matter, because you have somewhere else you can go. There's nothing they can hold over your head anymore, right? This is what it feels like to be a CEO. You have leverage. I can fire someone because I have 400 other people lining up to interview at this company, right? That's their leverage. Your leverage is, fire me. I have 4 other companies I'm already working at. It doesn't matter. So that's how this works. It's a game. You got to play it. If you don't play it, you're just going to get played. That's honestly how it works. Hopefully, if this video has been insightful, you thought it was interesting, you know what to do. Click like, click subscribe. We roast corporate stuff here all the time. Take a look at it, analyze it, all that stuff. Having said that, I hope you guys are doing good, and I'll see you in the next one.